Hi, this is Fiona, and in this video I wanted to talk about my 2 QHHT sessions. It stands for Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, and it's a special type of hypnosis that Dolores Cannon developed where you go into a deep state of trance and you basically are talking, it's basically the hypnotherapist is talking to your higher self, and you look at, a couple of past lives. So it's very, I was conscious the whole time. The first session I did, I think it was around 4 or 5 hours long. So it's actually a good chunk of time. You go really deep into the session, and she kind of guides you, through the whole process just intuitively. There's no real script or anything, but she'll kind of ask questions so that it kind of deepens what you're looking at. And after you look at the 2 past lives, then you go into a set of like pre-written questions that you've already kind of written out to ask your higher self. So I found a woman in Santa Cruz, and my session was, I think it was around 4 or 5 hours. So it's a good chunk of time. You actually end up using maybe the first hour and a half to kind of get to know each other, talk about what's going on. And it was my therapist that actually recommended I try QHHT to kind of get some more answers into some of the trauma that's happened in my life. So it was kind of a way to kind of see patterns maybe from past lives, or how they've kind of played out in the current lifetime, that are just affecting me, and if there's anything that I need to see or learn. So I wrote out, I think it was around maybe 15 questions, and it was all just kind of about my childhood, about my family, patterns in relationships, unresolved fears and traumas that I've had, and just questions about the future. So I had these all written out, and I brought these on a piece of paper to her. And she starts off, you're lying on the massage table. You have the eye thing over your face, so it's dark. And I think it would have been nice if there was music in the background, because it was a little bit like hard at first it was a little bit like a lot of noise in the background. But I went under trance pretty easily. I'm pretty, I guess, easily hypnotized. And so it's kind of like she has you visualize certain things in the beginning. Can you see a bird? Do you see a cloud? And then the first part of the past life reading is you get in a cloud, and the cloud kind of, you're in this cloud, and it kind of, you go to this past life. And what I noticed about all my past lives in both the sessions were they were both alien oriented, kind of really creepy, and pretty dark. So my first past life it was almost like it was in 2D, and it was like in cartoon. And I was like this character. There was like this older male character that was like, I guess, living with me, but I was like his caretaker. And I remember in that past life feeling very trapped and very like I had no freedom. And, it was like in the forest. I was living there, just with this older male. And I was like, oh, is that my dad or something? Is it, that's what I kind of got. And then the facilitator, the hypnotherapist said, okay, well, let's go to an important date in that past life. And I'm still in 2D. It's like a cartoon drawing. And it was really dark. It was like seeing these skeletal figures, but the body was all charred, and it was all like burnt. And then there was like lava. There was like these Ku Klux Klan, like ghostly kind of greenish white figures. And I was kind of just observing what was going on. And it was pretty dark. It felt like it was hell. Like I was witnessing people that were, I don't know, it was almost like they were slaves or something in hell. And they were just kind of doing almost just like some sort of work around the area of the lava and the black rock, but their bodies were charred. They were like skeletal. So it was really, really kind of creepy. So I had to fly to another, the point where it's another important thing. I'm actually getting on a ship and I'm leaving behind everything. And I'm actually going to British Columbia, which is kind of strange because that's where my therapist is. I found out that's where she lives. And I'm just kind of leaving it all behind, and I'm kind of, abandoning it all. So that was the first past life. The second past life, there was this must have been another part of that past life, is like I went to another planet. There were like these weird animals. They were like half human, like really morphed, like insect creatures. And I remember like my hypnotherapist saying like, okay, can you talk to someone? Where are you? And I tried to talk to this, it was like a chipmunk guy, but he was super big and he was super angry. And it was just like everyone kind of going about their business and no one wanted to help. It was really, again, scary, and just like everyone, there was no heart. It just felt very, people just functioning in the lower, just the 3D realm, just like we're just here to do our thing, and to, there was no sense of connection. And it was almost like I was like traveling to different planets. There was another part of that past life where it was like I was on this planet and it was being destroyed by this, it was almost like this alligator, dragon, lizard type of creature who had like fire coming from his mouth, and was just destroying everything with the fire coming out of his mouth. And it was just destruction. It was pure just chaos, and a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. And it was like she asked me what was I there to learn, and it was just like that I'm kind of functioning, that I think it's like this, I kind of came from this pattern of like, oh, I just have to kind of function in the 3D world, and as long as I function in the 3D world, everything's fine. I can ignore anything that's like higher vibration, love, consciousness, connection, expression, unity. And it was like I just got a dose of what it was like to just survive. So later in that session, I got to look at just the questions just from my childhood, if there's anything that happened, and just different dynamics. So I got a lot of answers from that. And she would kind of talk to my higher self. There was a point where there was some healing that was done, and I felt the energy, and it was all just my own self. So what I really liked about this hypnosis, type of hypnosis, is that you find your own answers. The therapist is just guiding you, or the hypnotherapist is just guiding you. You're on your own journey, and they're kind of just asking questions to kind of bring you down further. So yeah, when I told my therapist kind of about my experience, it was like, she was like, that's pretty dark. That's like all kind of the darkest of the dark. You're in hell, you're kind of in this 2D reality. You're in this like insect animal world, and no one seems to care about you. There's just, and there's lots of destruction. So, and they give you a recording at the end, which is really cool because you can listen to it again and get more answers from it. But I felt very like, oh my gosh, I have all the answers. All the answers are within. And that's the same with meditation. You get your answers yourself. The second time I went, I actually did it, I think it was like a week and a half afterwards. I would have waited longer, but I was trying to prepare for another journey that I was going on. So the next session was a bit shorter. I think it was only 3 hours, and we spent less time in the talky talk stuff, and we just jumped right in. I wanted to explore more with past lives and more how it's kind of affected my current lifetime. The first past life was another like alien lifetime where it was like I was one of many other aliens living on this planet. It was very much like lots of experimentation on most like animals, but there was like this whole idea that they were trying to build this machine-like creature, and it was supposed to be like something that was very powerful. I don't know if it was like military or some sort of leader, but it was like we were all communicating telepathically, which was kind of cool. And we're trying to experiment with like time travel, and I guess like, I don't know, rewiring connections in the brain, the body. I know this sounds very Hollywood. And I was like kind of questioning, like, am I just making this stuff up? You know, I mean, these images that came to me were very vivid and very real. And she's like, don't let your analyzer get in there and try to make sense of all of this, because basically you're getting out of your mind's way, your ego's way, to kind of just see what your subconscious is trying to tell you. So yeah, the last thing you want to do is be like, is that real or not? But I got a lot of answers from that. It was kind of like this, it was community, but it was also like, again, it was this kind of work, where it was just every day was the same. I actually got, they were experimenting with me on time traveling, and I ended up getting, I don't know, displaced, put it somewhere in the universe where they couldn't find me. And so they just deleted me. And it was just like I was one of many. And it was, I guess it was like everyone was kind of like this collective consciousness thing. It was a bunch of aliens, but we were all kind of like the same person. So I kind of was kind of perplexed by that. And then the next one, lifetime that I went into was actually, I was a leader of this, I don't know, it was like, I was an Eskimo, I was male, I was a very large male. And for some reason I was living with a bunch of women, and I was like their protector. I was like watching out for them. And I have this person that comes into the tribe who, you know, I'm a little bit like hesitant to let in, but then I end up trusting them, and they end up betraying my trust. So this person that comes in is almost like this, again, it's that like older male energy, but it was a totally different vibration. And he just was this con artist that just took advantage of the women that were in the tribe. And, you know, towards the end of this lifetime, I actually am strangling him, holding his face under the water, because I'm a very strong person. And, you know, I'm thinking that this person is someone that has also kind of been in my current lifetime, this person that I'm holding down, who has caused me a lot of, just a lot of trauma and stuff. So it was like this person was in this past life and completely took advantage of the situation, abused their power, and ended up, you know, betraying the trust. And yeah, it was a violent, you know, a violent past life. So yeah, the learning that I got kind of from these past lives, I guess the first one was this, I guess, collective communication. We were experimenting with different animals and humans and rewiring of the brain. Was it really necessary? It was still not heart-based. It was still just kind of like experimenting just for the sake of experimenting. And in the second lifetime as an Eskimo male, it was like I had this protective, and I had this protective kind of persona about me. And I also had this gut feeling about the person that came into the tribe, and I trusted them against my own discernment, you know, when I knew that I don't know if I should let them into this tribe. So it had to do with kind of trusting my intuition more, trusting, you know, my sense of discernment, being on top of it instead of ignoring it. And then after the past life readings, you know, I had my higher self kind of look at different questions. Ended up, looking at next steps that I have for myself. And, the questions, you could ask the same questions and you could get different answers the next session that you try. Both of the sessions were very powerful, I would say. They were really helpful in me kind of getting out of the way of my analyzer, my ego, and going into the subconscious and really being able to allow my higher self to come through. So while I was conscious the whole time, it was like I kind of got out of the way. I let go of having to steer things in a certain direction, and I just allowed it. I let go, and then that's when just all the images started coming, and the communication came, and it was just this very effortless thing. Some people, it's really easy to kind of hypnotize. They're very sensitive, easily suggestible. I would fit, into that category. So if you're preparing yourself for a QHHT session, just make sure you have an intention of what you want to focus on. Why are you doing this? To get answers for something, to uncover something from your past, from your childhood, from past lives, to get answers on, future stuff. It could be career related, all the typical stuff, relationships, health, crisis, anything like that. But it helps give me more certainty that I am the holder of my truth, and I don't need to always be seeking answers externally from outside of myself. I can actually get the answers and see them for myself very clearly if I just tune in and let go, basically. And it's helpful to have a guide when you do this, to kind of create the safe space and to also know where to kind of steer you, because there were some scary moments during the past lives where I was like starting to cry and starting to get emotional and starting to get angry, and it's good to have someone there to kind of set the space so it doesn't kind of so you don't get lost in the emotions. So anyways, thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.